the foundation of that relationship, I guess.
Speaking about foundation, an interesting comment you made off camera.
I mean, I was, thinking, I look at it more from a man's perspective, but also how we are, our hearts and minds are the hard disk, and everything around us is what's written on that hard disk. And if we look at what our sisters especially are going through, the entire, beginning is your foundation. So, for most women, when we say the word foundation, what comes to mind?
Facial cream,
It's facial
makeup.
cream. Something that after you put it on, you go home and wash it back off. Whereas the Prophet ﷺ said that inna fil jasadi mudgha, that in the body there's a piece of flesh. If this piece of flesh is sound, the whole body is sound. If it's corrupted, the whole body is corrupted. Ala wa hiya al-qalb. And indeed he said it is the heart. This is the foundation. So from the beginning we're taught that our foundation is something that we put on and take off. I can change my foundation. How do I look today, ya habibti? And I change my foundation. You don't change your foundation. To tahir, you purify your foundation. And you bring yourself closer to Allah. Same with brothers. Interesting enough, before I was a Muslim, how much time brothers spend getting dressed also. They take a shower, they iron their pants, you put on a nice cologne. I mean, you get busy, man, because you go into the club.
No, they'll do that. Guys will do that.
And when you go to the club, not you, someone, when they're in the club, they
in case you just tuned in.
they think that the woman who his nafs has identified as being beautiful is watching him. Where in fact, when they asked women, there were studies done, when
they
high
were
schools,
watching.
Who?
What guy?
Slim who? I mean, there's no reality of even who this person is. And this is muraqabah. This is the awareness of being observed. What is the awareness of Allah Azza wa Jal?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like I tell brothers, they say having khushu' is an impossibility. It's concentration with Allah. I tell them, brother, when your wife yells at you for 10 minutes and you don't hear one word because you're watching TV, this is khushu'. She is next to you yelling at you. And you didn't hear one word she said because you're having khushu' with Madden 2006 or something.
That's amazing.
So these emotions involved in this whole process of how we formulate our outlook towards the opposite gender are creating, I was shocked when I came to the East and saw, boys and girls everywhere. Testosterone is just falling on the floor, man. People are losing it.
Yeah, on the Corniche, one time I was actually driving by and I decided to sit with a friend and count how many couples we'd find, and we counted 206.
Where I live, they sit in these corners which people urinate in. He sits with his girlfriend in the corner. And I was telling one day a taxi driver, I was like, what is she saying to him? Ya habibi, ma hadihi ra'ihatun jamila allati sadarat min jasadik.
Wow.
What is this beautiful smell? And the guy is so in ghurur, he's like, well, habibti, ishtaraytu cologne jadidan al-yawm, yani. And he's telling her about this nice perfume. Well, in actuality, they're smelling the urine of the guy who slept there the night before. This is being deceived, falling into traps of shaitan, where reality becomes, it's not real anymore, and the thing which is not real becomes real, because, as the scholar said, this is a sign of the heart is sick. Someone's not able to make this furqan between al-haqq and batil. So I was very shocked, when I came to the Muslim world, to see, the situation, especially of the youth, and dating, holding hands openly, walking around. And I think there are social reasons for this. The difficulty in getting married. I meet brothers who are engineers, 36 years old, who drive taxis. And I was like, why don't you get married? He's like, mustahil ya am. There's no way I can get married now.
I just can't afford it.
In America, it's even funnier. You go to a sister and she's 34 years old. She can't get married, and you're like, why? And she says, well, my father wants me to marry this guy from our village, and I can only marry a guy from our village and from our tribe.
And he has to be my cousin.
And he has to be my cousin. Or they say, as one of the comedians said, you can marry whoever you want as long as it's your cousin. And you ask the sister, where are you from? And she's like, I'm from the Reunion Islands. So the total population of the Reunion Islands is under 30,000 people. So how is she going to get married in North America? So also the parents, unfortunately, in social norms
have
changed the irada of Allah Azza wa Jal, not haqiqatan,
irada shar'iyya,
that He wants for us, yuridu Allahu bikum al-yusr. Allah wants to make it easy for people. Now it's hard to get married.
Yes.
Then you're surrounded by these naked, filthy irhabu qulub, these nasty singers, who I believe we should have a muqata'a on these singers. Don't come and tell me about the US or some. These people, we should have a muqata'a on them.
Yeah, well, they're taking us to hell.
They are destroying our youth.
They are taking us to hell.
They are destroying them. They are destroying the qulub of the people. And they are introducing things into our society which are foreign to our society. which are like the Ebola virus. So we should counsel these people and ask them come back to Allah. We should never, encourage harming these people who are singing songs or whatever. But counseling them. And then number two, we should ban them. We should not be part of them because it's creating this difficulty for our youth, who are seeing this on TV every day.
I agree with you, and we have to take a short break here, but I agree with you, and up until maybe a month or two ago, I would have still agreed with Imam Sohaib and may have possibly had a slight reservation in my heart that just said, not no, but more like, yeah, like maybe just say lighten up a little or something. And you know what, honestly, and I'm speaking about the East in particular because the West is light years ahead in terms of that. They've just kind of taken it to a really, I mean, I don't even want to quote any of the lyrics that I accidentally hear when people's TVs are on loud, but it's just really bad, you know what I mean? And it's just really, it's not human. But at one point I was actually, yeah, it's just not human, it's just so animalistic. I mean, get a life, get an afterlife. So I was just in the East now, and he says this country, we're in Egypt right now, and this is where we're filming it. And so anyway, I'm just somewhere and there's this whatever, video clip, I don't even, let's put it politically correctly here, but it's just this really horrible animalistic thing pretending it's human, and it was Eastern. And the language was Arabic, and it was like almost full nudity, and she was just this woman displaying herself the whole time. People were watching, and I just looked at that, I'm like, wallahi, I know something's wrong now. Something is seriously wrong. So I totally understand Imam Sohaib's comment, but we'll take a short break and be back to kind of look at this from a more practical perspective, the idea of marriage versus dating, and just take a look at marriage as well, inshallah, so stay tuned.